Those muscles are ridiculous in size. He certainly looks stronger.
So, is this different from a regular Super Saiyan form?
Either way, he looks dangerous.
Hi guys, DN Neo here, and we're back with another Dragon Ball Files. So I wanted to talk about Broly, and recently I watched the original, or the Broly Z film, the first one, and even though I know it's a silly storyline in the fact that Broly was mad at Goku because Goku cried as a child and that's what triggers Broly and yada 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 yada. I was watching it and a lot of it kind of came back to me as I was watching, because it had been a long time since I'd watched that film. And I really wanted to talk about Broly and this original version of Broly and his story. So today, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, buckle up and let's talk about the legendary Super Saiyan that is Broly. Now, just to get out of the way, yes, I will probably do a video on Super Broly as well. But for right now, we're talking about Dragon Ball Z Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, and specifically the first film, his kind of story. Now, again, as I said in the introduction, yes, the story's a bit silly because crying Goku, or baby Goku crying, was the thing that triggered Broly, yada 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 yada. But I was watching the film and I had kind of forgotten at the fact that the beginning of the film kind of lays out the fact that, hey, we found a new planet for Vegeta, or we've made a new planet for Vegeta, and Vegeta, we want you to come back and be King Vegeta, essentially. Sorry, that was a lot of Vegetas there, wasn't it? Yes. But what really kind of captivated me about that is the fact that the beginning of this story is very much a Vegeta story. And maybe I'll get more into that, but I really want to kind of dive into Broly and kind of really kind of his narrative throughout this story. And one thing that I find really fascinating about this film is the fact that the legendary Super Saiyan, there's already myths, right? Vegeta already kind of knows of this thing, of this legendary being in the name the legendary Super Saiyan. And Vegeta is feeling so confident that he can go in and deal with this and essentially reclaim his people. And Broly is the essence of this legend. He is the legend itself. And what really kind of captivated me after kind of forgetting it like, I remembered the bullet points of Broly's story in that first original film, but I'd forgotten it in its entirety and it as a complete film, is the fact that Broly's kind of demeanor, and we don't really see anything of Broly until he's fighting, that he has been weaponized. He is a slave, essentially, to this idea that he's going to be used as this weapon. And then, obviously, you know, his father trying to keep control of Broly, and the fear factor of the fact that, well, Broly could kill them all. And his father is kind of forced to do something about it, but it kind of has that twist, right? That then it's seen as an opportunity. Then Broly is seen as a weapon. Then Broly is seen as something to be controlled and used. And especially this original version of Broly, I don't think that's talked about too much. The fact that, yes, originally Broly was a menace and too strong. I don't want to even say a menace because, right, if we are our own natures, right, we are bound to that, and we can only be what we are, right? So I don't necessarily blame Broly for that or think he's a villain because of that. But one thing that I find fascinating is the fact that Broly, as a character, is kind of turned into the villain because of then is what is seen, the opportunity, the well, I can now use my son as a weapon, and that's why I said turned into a weapon. Not that I feel sorry for Broly particularly, but as a character, but there is that element that yes, he was a loose cannon and he was very, very strong, but actually he may have found his place in the universe if he was just kind of left alone. Maybe not, who knows. But anyway, I'm going to fast forward a little bit here with the story, and then eventually we get to the moment where we see kind of the Super Saiyan form, or Broly's Super Saiyan version, or sorry, Broly's version of a Super Saiyan. And then we see the legendary Super Saiyan, and unfortunately in the original film, it all happens very, very fast. And that the Super Saiyan form of Broly, even in that film, is kind of depicted and shown as terrifying. That actually his power is gigantic, universe-sized levels of power, which at that point in the story, there's not Super Saiyan 2s. At least with what I can tell, anyway. I can't remember when the Broly film exactly came out, but Gohan doesn't go Super Saiyan 2, so I can only presume that no Super Saiyan 2 has been seen, at least with the Z Fighters, anyway. So Broly's equivalent to the Super Saiyan, and the fact that it's planet-shattering, they can't believe it that something like this exists, and then obviously the power and the little gadget thing that his father's using to control him, that breaks, that snaps, that's gone. And then we get into it, and we get into the meat and the bones of the film, basically, of the legendary Super Saiyan. He transforms, and we see the true legendary Super Saiyan that is Broly. And that form is very interesting to me in this film, because again, I had kind of forgotten, and in my head, Broly does a lot of damage, but Broly eventually is put down. What I had forgotten is it's not a defeat. I mean, yes, they kind of tactically do it where they get out before the planet explodes, but they don't defeat Broly. Broly is not defeated in this film. At least combat-wise. He's not defeated that way. And that really kind of not like shook me, but like really threw me off. I was like, oh my god, like Broly's not defeated. But the fact that and yes, Goku does this classic thing where he powers up and he stands a little bit for Broly, but even then, like, Goku's thrown around like a bloody ragdoll, and the effect on Vegeta of he's basically on his back for that entire fight of it's the legendary Super Saiyan. We can't do this. What's the point? We might as well lay down and die. And the fact that it's Piccolo that's like, hey, like, get your shit together, dude. Like, basically. But the fact that it is Piccolo that has to get Vegeta to even attempt to stand up and fight. And I think that this, the first Broly film, yes, it's definitely about Broly. It's definitely setting the levels. It's definitely setting, like, his power level and the monster that is Broly. But I think this film is a lot more, or not a lot more, but also to do with Vegeta, of one, Vegeta getting a chance to be possibly a king and rule sane people, but also the fact that I think, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's the first time that we just see Vegeta lay on his back, give up, and go, we're done. There's no point in fighting, I give up, I'm just going to lay here and die. And weirdly, it's that which rams it home. It's that makes it real. It's that goes, oh my, there's never been anything like Broly, and there never will be anything like Broly. Yeah, stronger than Broly, sure, but not anything like Broly. And I think that Vegeta is a real credit to Broly and the monstrosity. Because here's the thing, we've seen bodies being thrown around, we've seen massive amounts of power, we've seen the heroes get beat down and then stand back up, right? We've seen all that before. What we hadn't seen, and again, I don't think ever seen again, at least not with the Saiyans, with the Z Fighters, is that give up mentality, Maybe knocked out, sure, but never just flat out, we can't do this, I give up. And I think that is a real key part of Broly's story. And I think that's why Broly is such, excuse the pun here, a legendary character. Not just because he's got this muscles and this masculine form and the power, but that image in our heads, which maybe without knowing it, of Vegeta just saying, we can't do this, I'm gonna lay flat on my back and die. Basically, that's basically what Vegeta does. And it's nuts to me that we see that. And again, I had kind of, that was burned into my head, but I had kind of forgotten what had happened with it and kind of how that registered in my own head, right? Like that had really, again, not shook me, but it was really like, oh my god, this is, what? Like, this is nuts. Within the Dragon Ball universe. So I think Broly, even though the first film's very silly with the storyline of Broly is angry at Kakarot because, he was crying and that upset him. Again, it doesn't really explain it, which is dumb even on its own. But the fact that this film gave us so much and never before seen stuff in Dragon Ball, I'm not going to say ever again or ever prior. We may have seen stuff prior and after close to that, resembling that. But the fact that we saw that in this film, black and white, Vegeta's flat on his back, and everyone at one point in that epic fight gives up. Or maybe doesn't give up, but can't fight. And then again, they don't beat him. Defeat, you know what, that's a good way of putting it actually. Defeat him? Yes. Beat him? No. They do not beat him in combat. Which is nuts. It is absolutely nuts that they never defeat the main villain of, at the time it came out, a one-off villain for a one-off film. They do not beat him. That is nuts, the fact that they would do that. It's nuts for a one-off film. It's nuts for an anime. It's like, it's just nuts. It's crazy. And I think that's why a lot more, I don't want to say a lot more, but so much respect and stock, I think, is given to Brawley, and rightfully so. Again, after watching that film again, and again, the fact that they cannot beat him, is just amazing. Because at that point, it was rinse, wash, repeat. Goku comes in last minute, saves the day. Goku comes in last minute, saves the day. And they didn't follow that formula. For whatever reason, they didn't follow it. And I just think Brawley is an amazing character. I think a lot more stock needs to be put into Brawley and the character and that film. Not the crying Goku or crying baby Goku part, but just, the film. Yeah, what an origin story. A villain that is defeated, maybe, but not beaten. Let me know, guys, what do you think? If you guys get the chance to rewatch it, let me know in the comments. Would you class that as a defeat? Or a beat? In my head, they didn't beat him with combat. Yes, smarts, sure, and that can be very important in a fight. But they did not beat him. Or did not defeat him. Again, depending which way you see that. In my head, they didn't beat him. Sorry, that's just how I feel about it. They didn't beat him. Yeah, I think an amazing character, and again, despite the stupid story that they did to try and tie it all together, I think a really good film, an amazing character, a legendary character, and I just think that a lot more stock needs to be put into Brawley. Let me know, do you want me to kind of dive into the Super Brawley at some point? Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it after this video anyway. I don't know, but yeah, Brawley's a really interesting character. Both versions, I like and dislike both versions for certain things, and I love both versions for different things as well. So take that for what it will. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Did you agree with me? What are your thoughts on the original film? What is your thoughts on the original Dragon Ball Z legendary Super Saiyan Brawley? Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'm going to get the hell out of here.